Hey everybody, welcome back to the 9 Essentials of Web Success. We're on our 7th session, SEO Strategy, Google Analytics, and Search Console. For those of you just joining us in our series, I'm Marjorie Gates, Digital Marketing Manager for Broad Street Consulting. I've been working with Broad Street for 6 years. I'll be monitoring the GoToMeeting chat board during the webinar, so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to type it in the chat and we'll address it at the end of the presentation. And with that, we'll get started. Thank you all for joining us. Here's Tom Sliker.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to session 7 of the 9 Essentials of Web Success. Just one more second here. Today we're going to talk about SEO strategy, Google Analytics, and Search Console. So with that, just a quick reminder of what web success is all about. This is our approach to helping small businesses be popular on the internet, how to improve your online presence, how to reach new customers, increase sales, and improve your bottom line. We help you be #1 on Google, show you how to dominate your local markets, sell products online, and or stay connected with your customers and reach that next generation of customers through social media and other means. If you have not seen the previous webinars, I encourage you to take a look. You can go to our web success page. You can get there by going to websuccess.guru or through the Broad Street Consulting web success page. So far, we have done 6 seminars. This is number 7. And so today we're going to talk about SEO strategy, Google Analytics, and search. And we've got 3 more weeks after today. Just a quick review. These are the 9 essentials in the blue at the top, as well as the ones in the red is what we call the 9 essentials. And so we're spending a week on each, and also talking about not just each one individually, but how they all interoperate and integrate. And so today we're going to talk specifically about SEO, search engine optimization, and primarily we're going to be talking about Google, how you can get ranked highly in Google. And then also we're going to talk about how you can actually measure your progress. How are you doing? And so we'll talk a little bit about Google Analytics as well as Google Search Console, which are 2 free tools that Google provides to help you manage your online presence. We're also going to talk specifically about Google My Business. So just a reminder of how this works, or kind of what the concept is. In the bottom right corner, you see we have people who are searching for things. We call them searchers. These are people on the internet who are looking for something. They're seeking to purchase something, they're seeking information about something, and they're using typically Google. Possibly they might be using Bing or Yahoo as well, but they're using some kind of a search engine. They're going through Google Maps. They're possibly using some kind of review site like TripAdvisor or Yelp. But eventually they find you. The idea is that they're searching, and here we are, and they find us, and they take an interest in our business. They take an interest in the things we have to say. They become followers. Possibly they're following us now on social media, whatever tools might be available. And then we kind of continue to communicate with them until they become prospects, and ultimately they become customers. Sometimes that transaction, they go from searchers to customers in just a few seconds. Sometimes it is a gradual process. Depends on what you're selling and exactly how you're reaching these folks. And then on the left side, you can see the different strategies that we use to reach folks, as well as bring them in and make them into customers. So today we're going to focus on the Google, the search results. And so when somebody does a Google search, we're going to talk. We talked in a previous session about the number of different ways that Google can present search results, and today we're going to specifically talk about 2 of those. We're going to talk about the business search results. So if they think you're looking for a specific business, you'll get this my business listing, which you see on the left, versus the organic or natural results listing, which is basically what you typically expect to see when you search for something on Google. It's a list of links to web pages on the internet. And at the top of that list is what Google thinks is the best choice for what you're looking for. And so just as an example, this is a client, Tyler Brothers in Wagner, South Carolina. So if somebody's searching for Tyler Brothers Wagner, what you're going to see is a result set that looks something like this. And so on the right side of the page is the Google My Business listing. And there's a lot of, basically a summary of the businesses there. Now this is something that every business should own their own My Business listing. If you ever go to a page and it says, is this your business, or claim this business, that means they've never claimed that particular listing. It's effectively a free website that Google is giving you, and you just need to claim it. And in this case, Tyler Brothers, you have critical information like your hours, you have an opportunity for people to leave reviews, you have links to your website, and you have these photos. And then on the left side, you can see is more what we would call traditional organic search results. Oops. All right, so when you're searching for that My Business, what I wanted to show you was the summary that you get. One of the ways you can see how your business listing is doing is through this summary that you get from Google on a monthly basis. And so in this case, you can see for Tyler Brothers, 2,700 people saw the listing on Google. 1,000 of them saw it on Google Maps. So 2,700 through search, 1,000 through maps, and it says 262 asked for directions, and 185 found the phone number and called the business. So this is another channel, another means for you to attract customers. You might have best website in the world and great SEO, but it's certainly, if somebody's looking specifically for your business, hopefully they're going to find your business listing, and a lot of people find this very convenient way to get in touch with you. And so I strongly recommend claiming that business listing. Once you do, you'll have access to this thing they call the business dashboard. And so in this case, since I'm an administrator of this Google My Business property, when I do this search on Tyler Brothers, I get this My Business dashboard, which allows me to see a lot of statistics about this particular listing. And so we're going to look at some of those things, some of the great useful information that you can get from that. First, how many people saw us through search? How many people saw us through maps? You can see that and track it over time. Another is customer action. So when people come up with that Google My Business listing and they see that, how many of them click on the website button? How many of those ask for directions? And then how many call you? So this is extremely valuable information as well. And then of the phone calls, how many, what day of the week are they calling? So this is valuable as well. You can see that a high number of our calls are coming on Mondays. Another important statistic that they share there is how many photos that people are viewing. And you can see that we have a lot of photos, but it's important to keep those fresh and have interesting things that people might want to view and page through your photos. So they get a better idea of what you sell, better idea of what's in your store, that kind of thing. And then driving directions. So how many people clicked on the driving directions, and then of those people, where were they coming from? And so you can see in this particular case, this little town, you see the red target down in the bottom left. That's a little town about 15 miles away. So you can see a lot of people from that area are coming to Tyler Brothers from this other town. So that's some important information, and we might be able to use that to further reach out to those folks. All right, so now I'll just go back to just your basic search results. So not talking about the My Business listing here. We're talking about when you do a search on a particular term, the listing of results that Google gives you. We call this the search engine result page, right? They call it a search, SERP, search engine result page. In this particular case, most likely, most of the time, depending on your specifics, the top listing or two comes from paid advertising. And so this first one is what they call Google Shopping, and you can see that it's sponsored. And then the second listing there is actually one of our clients who, in this case, Mitsubishi Fuso FE Transmission. We have a paid ad, and that shows up at the top. But then you also see we are the top organic result. So we know that most people click on this first organic result. So what is it that makes us number one? What is it that has happened to make us number one compared to somebody else who's selling the same things? So I call those the SEO factors. One, and first and foremost, is this notion of backlinks. So this is links to your site from other websites across the internet. And then second is on-page SEO. So there's a number of things that you can do on your web page that will help you to be found and that Google wants you to do so that they can properly list you. And we'll look at those specifically, but in this case, we're talking about URLs and page titles, so things that you can do technically to make sure that those things have all the keywords that you want, and that will determine your rank significantly. The content quality, meaning is it good information that relates to these keywords, meta tags, etc. So those are some of the things that we'll look at for on-page. And then lastly, social media. So there's quite a bit of credit given to you if people on social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, are sharing your information, people are liking it, those kind of things. So Google considers all those things. Just a quick reminder, we talked about this once before in a previous webinar, but the original idea behind Google was based upon an academic model where if I wrote a paper on a particular topic and then 10 other people wrote about the same topic and they referenced my paper, that would be, that would show some value to my paper because now I have 10 external references back to my paper. So that means they valued my work, right? Well, if somebody else had 100 links back to that paper, 100 people referenced that paper, then Google would consider that very important. Probably, most likely the person with 100 links would rank higher than me. Now, the other thing that comes into play is the credibility of the source. So if my 10 people, compared to your 100, if my 10 people were really well-known scholars that had thousands of links to them, it's very well that my 10 really high-quality links, backlinks, would rank higher than your 100 if yours were people that nobody else was referencing. And so this is the basic concept behind Google. This is how Google designed their search engine to rank web pages. And so if you have a page and 10 people link to it, versus if you have a page that 100 people link to, you're going to be better off with the 100. And particularly if these are highly credible sources. So if the New York Times links to you, you're going to probably rank better than if some local newspaper links to you. Okay, so talking about backlinks. So now, what are these backlinks? Yes, obviously, very popular websites, very popular blogs, very popular newspapers and things like that. But there's a number of directories on the website, on the web that you can go to and make sure that you're registered your site there. Online articles. So people are writing blogs, people are writing articles. If those things link back to you, that continues to give you more and more credibility with Google and will improve your page ranking and ultimately make you #1, possibly, depending on the competition, depending on a number of other factors. Press releases are very important. If you are doing press releases and you get these things out there and they get spread around and they all link back to you, those are things can be very valuable. Blog posts, very important. So if you have people, if you can find bloggers who are willing to write about you or things that you've written and they want to add commentary by doing their own blog, these are things that can really help your page rank. And then social bookmarking, not as much anymore, but and social networks, profiles, as well as shares, likes, etc. Those things are all considered by Google in trying to rank your page. So I'm going to give you just a couple of examples of that. In this particular case, Mitsubishi Fuso FE transmission. So we're looking at a person looking for a particular type of transmission for a particular truck. Now, when they do this search, the listings come up, and the listing here for the number one listing in this case is Busby Truck Parts Mitsubishi Fuso transmission page. Now, why is this number one? There's three important components that you can see right here in the search result. First is that title, which is kind of a blue at the top there. You can see that the title includes these keywords. So that's very important to Google. My page title, which is what shows up at the top of my page, is Mitsubishi Fuso transmissions, and obviously that's what somebody's looking for. And then the green is the actual URL. So this is the address, the web address of this particular page, and you can see that that page also has an address that includes those keywords, Mitsubishi Fuso transmission. So these are two important factors. And then third is what we call the meta tags. In this case, this is the meta description. And so having a meta description that has these keywords in it, all these things together make this a very good candidate to be number one in page rank. And then lastly, it's very important that the page itself has information pertinent to the search. And in this particular case, of course, the Mitsubishi Fuso transmissions page is filled with information about what? Mitsubishi Fuso transmissions. And so that's what I would call perfect alignment, and it positions you for the capability and possibility of being number one on Google. And again, it depends on your competition. It depends on a lot of other things, but at the very least, doing these what we call on-page SEO techniques positions you very well to be number one on Google for those search terms. Another example of that, so this is another client that sells used parts for these stretchers. This is copdoc.com, and in this case, Stryker MX Pro parts. And you can see our organic search results listing here. Again, Stryker MX parts is part of the page title there in blue. And then you can look at the URL and you can see Stryker Stretcher Parts / Stryker MX Parts. Okay, this is a great URL. And then also the description also includes these keywords. So again, it positions us to be number one. In this case, we are number one. And then the landing page itself, that's the first part of the page. And then if you scroll down, it looks something like this, where we actually list quite a number of parts specifically made for the Stryker MX Pro. And so that's how you can be number one on Google using SEO techniques. Now, what is it that ranks, what is it that makes us number one? I've given you some things that I call on-page SEO, right? So the title and the URL and the meta tags are very important, but also, and the content on the page. But this is external factors are also very important. So somebody went and did a study on Google, and they did a number of tests, and they kind of reverse engineered to figure out what was it that Google was using to rank somebody highly. And for the most part, it's the things that I've just shared with you, but there's a few things that I think are interesting to note. Number one here was Google Plus Ones. Now, a lot of people don't know what a Google Plus One is. Google Plus is Google's social network that more or less competes with Facebook and Twitter. Okay, so a +1 is the equivalent of doing a like on Facebook. And so Google +1 is very important to Google. They want to encourage people to put things on Google+, and if people like them and share them on Google+, that carries a lot of weight with Google. Of course, Facebook is also very important, and so Facebook shares, Facebook likes and links, and those kind of things are important. So if you just focus in on some of these that are social in nature, right? You've got Google+, you've got Facebook, and you've got Twitter are all listed here as factors in your page ranking. And so those we know for sure have an impact. And so the more things, again, if people are linking to you on Facebook and Twitter and Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, etc., and Google+, those are going to improve your overall search ranking. And then I would add to that a number of other popular social networks and things that can enhance your page rank as well. So things like YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, Craigslist, LinkedIn, and Yelp. These are a number of other networks that I recommend using to promote your blogs, your links to your pages, etc. These are all tools in your toolbox that continue to improve your search engine optimization, and ultimately with the goal of improving your page rank and becoming #1 on Google when people search for those things that you're selling. It brings us back to this notion of whether we should blog or not, right? To blog or not to blog. And then what do you do when you blog? So it's important. We'll talk more in a future week about content marketing, but the idea of content marketing is that you're producing valuable content about topics that people are interested in, about information. You provide information that people need, and as a result, Google will rank you highly. So we've given examples in previous weeks about blog posts, for example, that come up for a particular topic and rank #1. The way to spread the information is to use social media as well as any other means that you can to get the word out about this particular information. And so over time, people use the social media to spread to their friends, and they tell 2 friends, etc. And the idea is that if you might have only 100 followers, but if your 100 followers also have 100 followers, you can very quickly reach 10,000 people if people find it interesting enough that they want to share. And so that's the idea of social media and how that can spread. And Google takes note of that, Google sees that, and they will continue to improve your ranking based on that. So a number of tools that you can use to manage some of the SEO stuff that I'm going to talk about. First and foremost, I'll talk about the Google Search Console, which used to be called Webmaster Tools, Google Analytics, and I'm using this other tool called SEM Rush, which I will share just a few details about that. But there are a number of other tools. What SEM Rush does is basically take information from analytics and other tools and brings it together and aggregates it, unless you do a lot of other things such as competitor analysis. All right, so Search Console. Initially, Search Console was really more of a technical tool. It did things like measuring, checking to see if your site was set up properly, did you have site maps and things like that, were there any errors when Google does its crawl. So just kind of a reminder of how Google works, right? So every night, Google spends quite a bit of time going out through the internet and seeing what's new. In most cases, it might only search your site, depending on how big it is or how active it is. It may only come to your site once a week, depending on how active you are. It could be every day. But Google is constantly monitoring the web and updating its indexes and information about your website. And so this tells you if there are things like if there are any problems. Let's just say you had a technical problem and it couldn't read certain pages, it would report that to you. So just some examples: site errors and URL errors. So if you have links on your site to bad pages that don't exist, those are the kind of things that will show up here. And it's important to keep an eye on those things. And those can very significantly hurt your page rank if you have a lot of bad links out on your site. Things like mobile usability, kind of back-end technical things in many cases. And then sitemaps. Don't recall if we talked about sitemaps, but basically a sitemap is a file in an XML format. It's a very technical thing, but basically, WordPress, Drupal, any of these content management systems makes it very easy to generate a sitemap. Google finds that very helpful. It allows them to get a good idea of what's happening on your website without having to look at every single page on your site. So they go to the sitemap and they can get a listing of all your pages and tell them when it was updated last and things like that. So sitemaps are very important. To me, the most valuable, important information that's available on Search Console used to be in Google Analytics, but more and more, you can't get that information through Analytics, and you have to get it through Search Console. Specifically, I want to know, how many times did people type in something on Google and my listing came up in their search results, and that's what these search analytics are showing right now. And so in this particular case, we're looking at, we've sorted the results by position. So if you look in the right column there, the position is 1. That means we're coming up as number 1 for all these search terms. So you can see tool rental, Lexington, South Carolina, rental equipment, Lexington, equipment rental near me, party rentals, etc., rental stores. So we have we have pages of these, but this kind of gives you an idea. What you want is you want to be number 1 for lots of stuff, and it takes some effort, but it's not hard to do if you follow these techniques that I've been sharing. And this is the same information. Okay, I was going to show it to you sorted by another way, but that's not there. But you can see, like for tool rental, it also shows you how many clicks. So in this case, for tool rental Lexington, it shows 100 impressions, 25 clicks. That's a 23% click-through rate. So that's really good. That means, our page, our metadata, all those things are set up right so that when people do see this, they click on it. And so that click-through rate is extremely important to Google. That tells them that you deserve to be at the top of the listings. Another thing that, so that's Search Console. Now I'm going to share a little bit more about Google Analytics. And so the most basic thing that Google Analytics does is traffic. How many people came to my website? How many people have been here over time? And so in this particular case, we're showing many years of data over 1 week at a time, but you can see a trend. And obviously, you want to see a trend that is upward. And in this case, we see what we would expect and hope to see. Just a couple highlights here. Main thing is that number 1, that trend of traffic. It shows you how many sessions. A session is they came to your page and they did some number of things. It could be one page, they could have come once and left, or they may have clicked around. We can't see that from here. But you can see in the bottom left corner, there's a number of things there. You can see pages per session, for example, which means on average, people are clicking around to 4.8 pages per session. You can see the average session duration, which is over 3 minutes, which is not bad. Bounce rate, you want that to be lower. That's about bounce rate is how many people come to that page and then leave. So these are people not clicking around. And then page views obviously is like pages per session times sessions, right? So in this case, 1 million sessions, 5 pages per session, 5 million page views. And then also how many individual users, right? So a lot of those people are new visitors in the blue in the chart in the bottom right. A lot of people are new visitors, and then a lot of people are return. Here's another one for another client, just showing you that you can break it down. This is a shorter period of time, but again, what we're trying to measure is improvements, right? We've done a lot of things to this site back in January. I think maybe November, December is when we started working on this site, and our goal was, of course, to increase traffic, increase sales, reach new customers. So you can see that we've had some success here by improving the number of people visiting this website. And you can see the increase starting around January. Another thing that Google Analytics shows that's really cool is the location. So this is a little map that it will show you. In this particular case, this is a fairly local business around the center of South Carolina, which is Columbia, South Carolina. And you can kind of see where are people coming from. Okay, we got a bunch of people coming to our website. Where are they coming from? And this breaks it down by city, locality, and you can see most of these, if you're familiar with this area, most of these are coming from the general vicinity of Columbia, South Carolina, but you also see people, see those dots all over the state. And so we are reaching out far beyond the local area. Another thing that's really important is being able to break it down by technology. So it's important for us, if we've got a website, to know how, what are people using to get to this site. And I'll tell you, 5 years ago, it was 100% desktop, or at least 90-something% desktop. And now we're talking about 40% of people getting to our websites from a desktop computer, right? So over 50% in this particular case, 50% mobile and 10% tablet roughly, and then 40% desktop. And that's pretty typical for our customers. It also lets you break it down by browser, so you can see when you're doing your testing of your website, you want to make sure that it looks good on all browsers. Used to be a huge problem, still can be sometimes a problem, that certain browsers work better than others for certain types of code. So it's really helpful to always test your site on a Mac, on Google Chrome, on Internet Explorer, Firefox, etc. And so you can see, you know, the most important are at the top, right? So Chrome is 44% of traffic to this site, and Safari is 33%. Internet Explorer is like 10%. So those are the key ones that you want to make sure your website looks good for those people, and you would have then looks like about 90% covered. And then also you can see on the mobile, you can break down the mobile by particular type of device. So you can see that iPhones continue to be dominant, as well as iPads. And then the others are pretty much all look like Android devices. So you're looking at roughly 50% Apple, 50% Android. That's pretty close to what I see on most of our websites. Also, let me just say this, this is the reason why over the last several years we've, we used to always design our websites for desktop, and then we would, make sure that it would look okay on mobile. And now we use something we call mobile first design, right? So we're really primarily gearing toward mobile devices, because it's 50+%. If you count tablets and mobile together, you're looking at almost 60%, and it's growing pretty much every day. And so we try to design our websites now to be mobile first. They look good on mobile, they look good on a tablet, and hopefully they'll look good on desktop as well, but mobile first. All right, so I wanted to just mention conversions, because that's another thing that you can track through Google Analytics. And I did mention conversions last week, but the idea of a conversion is that people click on something in Google, either through search results or through an ad, an advertisement through Google Adwords, which we talked about last week. They click on that, and then they come to your site, and then what do? Are they taking the actions that we want them to take? And so you can define a conversion pretty much to be anything you want. But in this particular case, what we typically do is, if it's an e-commerce site, a conversion is somebody who completed a purchase, right? So they actually added stuff to their cart, they got through the checkout system, and they completed their order. When that happens, they get to a thank you page, and we track that thank you page, and that is a conversion. A simpler transaction is submitting a form. So in the case I shared last week about Busby's, we don't do e-commerce, right? We just do, we want people to send in their parts request forms. And so completion of a parts request form is considered a conversion. And so in this particular case, we're looking at somebody who has two different types of conversions, and we're looking at, also you can see at the bottom here, the source of those. So how many of these conversions, how many of these forms being submitted are coming from organic versus number 3 there is CPC, which means cost per click. So that means it's coming from Google Adwords. So you can see most of our conversions are coming through organic search results in this case. And then also on Google Adwords. So if you're using Google Adwords, there's a little bit more information on specific types of conversions. And so you can track conversions. For example, if you have those ad extensions, remember, and people are clicking and calling you directly from a paid ad, those would be conversions. So it's just another more specific detail about your conversions. And so unfortunately, sometimes the Google AdWords conversion counts don't match up perfectly with the Google Analytics, and so there's a little bit of an art there to understanding that information. But you can get conversion data both on Google Analytics as well as through Google AdWords. Excuse me. There's another tool I just wanted to share with you. It's called SEM Rush. It's another. There's a number of other tools out there like it. But what it does is it kind of comes up with its own formula that shows what it calls the visibility trend. And so the idea is it's pulling data from Google, from all this other stuff that I've shown you today, and it's kind of aggregating it, and it's giving you a sense of, over time, how often are you appearing in search results. And in this case, we're specifically tracking a number of specific keywords. But over time, what we want to be is we want to show up more and more from higher and higher for more and more keywords. And so this gives us a sense of our overall visibility, and this is something that we track over time that we want to continue to see ongoing improvements in our visibility. And also ranking distribution, so it allows us to then go and check out our competitors, and we can go through and see how we are doing compared to our competitors for a number of search terms. And so you can see on the right side there, how many top 3 results, how many top 10 results, how many top 20 results. Now these are for a number of specific keywords, which we track. Typically we track between 50 and 200 keywords per customer. So that's what I would recommend, starting with at least 50 keywords that you think people would use to try to get that you should be showing up at the top of Google for. And so that concludes my presentation for today. You can see that Google Analytics, Search Console, and SEM Rush are extremely valuable tools for improving your search engine optimization and improving your page rank. And so just to summarize where we're at, this is number 7 in our series, 10-part series on the 9 essentials of web success. And so we've got 3 more weeks to go. Next week, we'll be talking significantly about social media and content strategies. And then we're going to talk more about local and how Google is really the future of Google, I think, is focusing on localities. And then we're going to go, the final week, we'll be talking about just kind of how you review and rebalance and relook at everything on a continuous basis. We just want to have a continuous improvement in all these things. So that concludes it. And with that, I'm going to ask if there's any questions.
We don't have any questions.
Okay, no questions today. Thank you for joining us, and we wish you web success.